Okay, we got the recording going. And hi, Chaz.
Hi, Tara.
How's it going?
It's going well.
Good. Well, I thank you for making time today to do this interview. I want to talk with you and have a conversation with you and really highlight some of the work that we did together because I think you're a really good example of what a lot of people desire to do who are in a corporate job and they have a creative idea and they want to explore it. And what you did in our time together, lots of things, but specifically, you really sped up the timeline and left your job early, much earlier than we had planned. So I'm going to be asking you a number of questions, but one of them is going to be, how the thought process that you had around leaving your job after you saw that this idea had potential and so we'll get into that more. But first, I would like to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your creative venture, as much as you can, because I know it's still in kind of the early stages. But just to give some context about what it is you're working on.
Sure. My name's Chaz Fiscella, and I used to be working in the mortgage industry when I got an idea to go into men's fashion accessories. And the idea started probably about 9 months ago and didn't materialize until we really started talking. So it was quite the jump into from business into fashion.
Yeah,
But I've been excited every step along the way.
yeah, yeah. I know. So I hope that that will come out as we continue this conversation. I work with people at all stages of what I call the creative launch cycle, and there's four phases: the idea phase, the planning phase, the implementation phase, and the results phase. And it's a cycle. So once you get to results, that's when you can, if you're launching, then you can grow your business to the next level, or you can add another stream of income. So it's really the cycle that keeps going round and round. But I'd like you to explain kind of where you were in that cycle when we first started working together.
I was barely in the idea phase. It was just a couple thoughts in my head, and I started looking around in the world and seeing kind of a need for this specific accessory that I was looking for. So I was in the first stage of the idea, I guess, if there is, if you can break it down at all. And then when we met, um, we started to make that idea into something. And once we started to do that, I started to put a lot more energy towards it, and it made it easier for me. And now, since we've finished, I'm rolling. So we're between the plan and implementation stage
Yeah,
right now.
yeah, yeah. So go back a little bit when you were having those ideas, because it was you came to me through referral. So at that point, I remember talking to you about this idea and not really knowing what is it, where can I take it, and why did you want to get coaching support specifically at that stage?
Um, well, I think for everybody it might be different, but for me, it was very helpful to provide. Well, support is important, but for me, having the structure.
Mm-hmm.
So to make it from an idea and plan it out was extremely helpful to me. My attention to detail isn't the best, so having that type of support and structuring on a week-to-week basis, setting up different goals and smaller projects as opposed to larger ones made it easier for me. And once we started breaking it down into each individual piece and what needs to be done on a weekly or daily basis, it helped me to grow and continue to expand the idea and turn it into some sort of plan. So that was good.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you are the visionary, and visionaries usually have the big picture. They see the end result. They know what that looks like, and then getting you in, like you said, to break that down into smaller goals and things you can be doing week by week is how you're going to get and make that vision the reality. So you just described really well what happens with a lot of thought leaders and visionaries is they have that big picture, and then it's getting into the step by step, day by day. That's where they require more support. So, you're a classic example of a visionary.
Lots of support. Yes, I did need that.
And if you can remember, what specific things did you want to work on when we first started um, working together?
Well, I guess my biggest fears, I started doing a little bit of research to see if there was product, if the product was available, and it wasn't.
Hmm.
So then at that point, I was a little bit nervous. I've never worked with manufacturers before. That's what we really started on. And you told me to just get after it and start doing it. And it sounds very simple, but a lot of people have the fear, including myself, of looking into things we've never done before. So immediately started to do some research and started just to contact, send some emails, make some calls. Um, and that is what made it easier. I just jumped in with both feet initially, and
Yeah.
when I had to come back and say, for our meetings and come back with what I've done, well, then I better start making some calls. So
Yeah.
for me personally, that helped out a lot.
Yeah.
The manufacturing piece and working with people that you never have before, finding different ones, still trying to find the right one. But it's nice that we were able to start that a few months ago.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Great. And before our coaching relationship, had you ever worked with a coach before?
never once. This is my
Okay.
first time.
And did you have any hesitations or any doubts about hiring a coach to help you launch this idea?
Um, since it was a referral, I wasn't particularly worried about it, but I also didn't really know what to expect.
Mm.
So my referral told me that, hey, go ahead and do it. Tara's awesome. It's going to be great, but you always hear it from somebody else, and I didn't really know what to expect myself. But we worked together. I mean, it was great for me. It was extremely beneficial, and I guess maybe just the fear of not knowing what to expect.
Mm.
Most people probably don't. So, but for me, it helps specifically with the support. Having a support system is definitely great. But for the structuring, for me, was definitely planning things out on a
Yeah.
weekly or daily basis is extremely helpful to me.
Yeah. And what challenges did you overcome? Wait, let me go back just a second. I want to ask you another question first. What were the top things that you achieved in the time that we were working together?
The number one thing that I achieved was definitely leaving the banking industry
Mm-hmm.
and leaving the mortgage industry, which I didn't hate by any means, but it wasn't what was for me. And it took us speaking. It's not like you told me to do it. In fact, I think you were pretty surprised when I told you that I left. Um,
Well, we had planned. We started working together in January, right? And we had planned that by the end of the year, all that you would leave. And I think it was 2 or 3 sessions in, you said, "Oh, I left my job." That was the surprise. But I want you to talk more about this because this is really what I want to highlight. What was your thought process in that? Why? How were you able to speed up the timeline in that way?
well, a lot of times uh, when I see people jumping into a separate industry or following, I guess, their passion, they just do it. And I've been thinking about it on my own for quite some time. I knew eventually I was going to leave the mortgage industry, and I thought that at my age, with what I have behind me, a support system, it was coming soon.
Mm.
So we planned by the end of the year, and then once I started feeling the level of excitement that I did from this business, from just working with manufacturers and doing different things every day, planning, designing, and brainstorming, coming up with ideas. It was just, I mean, it was so much more fun. I knew that's what I was meant to do, and that made it. I mean, the decision pretty quickly. I started thinking about it on a Monday, and then I left on that Thursday,
Mm.
uh, February 9th. So I'll never forget the day.
And how has it been for you since leaving your job?
Incredible.
In what way?
It's been it's been amazing. I mean, I've been able to mind, body, and soul. Everything is better. I'm healthier. I have more time to do things that I want to do. on my time. So, for example, as opposed to being structured in a 9 to 5 day, sometimes it might be 1 o'clock in the morning where I get some ideas and I want to write them down, and I won't have to feel bad about going to work the next day. I can wake up and have the levels of focus when they come to me rather than when you're forced to do it. So for me, just owning my own time is the most important thing for me because life's too short. So
Yeah.
having that opportunity is incredible, and I would not go back.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. So, what other things were you able to achieve in our time together?
Um, I've also been able to surprisingly lose weight from work, sitting in a desk.
Wow.
Sitting in a desk makes it difficult. Lost about 10 to 15 pounds since
Wow.
unintentionally since the coaching began. It's not like we were coaching on weight loss or
No.
anything, but just having to be able to make your own meals and not being stuck in that environment has made it a lot easier for me. So I feel healthier. I don't drink coffee anymore. Those are just small victories.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and starting the business, being able to focus on that has been, I mean, it's awesome. I can do it every day.
Yeah.
I can do it every 7 days a week if I want.
Yeah. What was the first goal that we set for you? Do you remember?
Was it leave the bank?
No,
I,
that was way down the line.
the first goal was it to find a manufacturer?
Yeah, that was small, but in the 3 months you wanted to get a product in your hand.
Yes, yes, was to get an actual product in my hand within the 3 months, and we accomplished that pretty quickly
Yeah.
actually. Within 2 months, I had it in my hand.
Yeah.
It wasn't exactly what I wanted, and we will find the right one,
Yeah.
but the fact that we went from nothing, an idea, to me actually having a tangible piece, the accessory in my hand,
Yeah.
so gratifying.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
and when you showed that to some friends, you got some really encouraging responses, didn't you?
I did, and I'm not sure whether they were encouraging or not. I don't know if it would have changed my mind on
Mm-hmm.
whether I'm doing it or not, but it was fantastic to hear. The feedback has been phenomenal. The honest feedback has been phenomenal, and when some of my friends saw the product or family members, they definitely lit up. And in fact, they wanted to put their own ideas in, and everybody wants to put their own 2 cents in now, and people want to invest, and we're not at the result stage yet. So
Well, but you're taking action. You're in implementation phase. You're taking action on the
yes,
plan
yeah,
that we put together for you. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. What challenges did you overcome to get into this implementation phase and start taking some of the action steps? What challenges did you overcome?
Well, I think the biggest challenge is working with a business partner,
Mm,
um, because I mean, you're always on your own page, but on somebody else's, they might have different ideas. So, us working together has helped me to schedule more calls and more video chats with my business partner and stay on the same page,
mm-hmm.
which has been helpful to me. So we talk. I mean, we talk every day, but now we have multiple scheduled calls throughout the week that we have to stay on the same page. Even though our minds are very similar, it's still a business partner. You never know when you're working on just a design and you're working on just a font for your name. I mean, we could have totally different ideas.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a constant, I don't want to say struggle, but it's a challenge, and something that we're continuing to work on. So
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else?
other challenges, specifically finding a manufacturer is going to be difficult. I would say that's a little bit tough. Also, staying on task because starting a new business like this I've never done before. So I could be working on anything and feel productive, but is it the right thing? Is it the right structure in terms of what we're supposed to do next? I think that's also been a challenge, but we're working on that as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And of the results that you achieved in the time that we were working together, what are the things that you're most proud of?
Um, I mean, just to say the fact that I left the bank is incredible. I've been in the mortgage industry for 6 years. Um, Getting the accessory in my hand, that feeling was incredible. And being able to share it, and now I'm to the point where I'm openly telling people what I'm doing now. It's nice to say, "Hey, what do you do?" I'm a business owner.
Mm,
Work for myself.
mm,
That feeling is incredible. Nobody can take that away from you, and nobody can replicate exactly what you're doing and how you're doing it. And it's nice to have something organic rather than following, I guess, another company. And there's nothing wrong with that. But for me personally, I've known this for a long time that I was meant to be a business owner. So it's nice to be able to just actually say it.
yeah. How long do you think you were thinking about this idea before you actually took the step?
The first thought came to me in October.
Last year?
So, yeah, October 2016. So I thought it was going to be a while before we got things going. And then we connected in January, and then in February, boom. So it didn't take very long once we met.
Yeah, you have this habit of speeding up the timeline.
Why not?
Collapsing the timeline.
Why not?
Yeah. So, I one of the things that struck me in our calls together is how is your positivity and your enthusiasm and your sense of energy in all things in life, but especially in this business that you're creating. So, how would you describe your feelings now for this phase that you're at in your business? And
Um,
yeah.
I think my feelings are growing stronger by the day because you're getting closer to launching. You're getting closer to the end goal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Obviously, everybody wants the business to be successful, but just planning for it and doing the daily tasks. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much as I do, to be honest. Just like there's certain things. I mean, everybody likes. Some people like numbers. Some people like writing. Some people like speaking on the phone. I enjoy everything about it because it's mine. And that for me has been, I mean, that for me has been awesome. And I really enjoy the day to day because every day I'm working on something different, it seems. So it's a perfect fit for somebody like myself.
Yeah. Um, there's, we don't need to go too much into this because I know this is still in development. But the other thing that strikes me is that you're not just developing a line of fashion accessories. You're really putting a lot of thought into the brand that you're building. And it really is based on some really solid values. So, how important has that been in the development of your business?
I think that it's probably more important than the business itself. A lot of people go into business to make money, and clearly, there's no, business is a win-win. So of course, you're trying to create a win on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, the branding is important. The type of people that we want to attract towards our business is very important. And I would say that is, if you're doing what you believe, then it's not work. So for me, if you're putting those two together, I mean, it's a no-brainer. I mean, you can find a way to create a product, but the product is probably the least important part. Everything that surrounds it is important, and when we have that type of energy going towards our business, I mean, it's going to be hard to stop
Yeah.
it.
Well, I think you're a force to be reckoned with, Chaz.
Thank you.
You've talked a little bit about, how excited you are about this and how much you believe in this and the changes that you've seen in your life since leaving your job and really putting a majority of your energy into this business. How do you feel about your life at this point that you've taken this step now?
I feel great. This is probably, and I usually feel pretty good. I'm usually pretty positive, but now I feel as good as I ever have. I feel like the time is now. That's what, as my business partner and best friend says, filled with belief. So we're both. I mean, it's awesome. Everything has been it's been fantastic. I don't know if I have anything negative to say. Um, just that I want to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's my feeling. I'm filled with belief. I'm
Yeah.
filled with belief.
What do you feel is, or think is possible now that wasn't possible for you before?
Um, I mean, I always knew that I was going to be involved in business, starting my own company and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think now timelines are possible.
Mm.
You can write down your goals and, and things that you want to achieve. But now that we've set dates on things, that's what's helped out. And when we started structuring it to say, hey, by St. Patrick's Day next year, we have to make a certain amount of profit, and by the beginning of next year, we have to have certain things launched. Once you put those dates on things, then you really can start to get to work. And that's what's helped me out the most, knowing those things, and not only just setting out long dates, but also saying in a week we need to have this done, in a month we should have this done, and that for me has been all I needed.
Yeah. Well, you've just so beautifully described this creative launch cycle, right? That having a plan that has dates and a timeline, and then you just take very simple actions day to day, week to week, and you do that, and you will get your results. You will reach your goals by St. Patrick's Day and beyond. Maybe not how you thought you would, or with you, it'll be faster based on your pace, but you just really beautifully describe that. And then once you hit those results, you just go back to idea stage, plan, implementation, and get the next result. You just keep growing and expanding from there. So very excited to see how you move through this cycle, and what you end up creating as you keep going forward. um, what advice would you give to someone else who is in your position? They're in a corporate job, which you said you were fine in that job. You didn't hate your job. You were happy more or less in that industry, but you knew that there was something else for you. You knew that you would create this business. So what advice would you give to someone else who is in that position, and they don't know if coaching is for them, they don't know if coaching will help them, or they have concerns about the investment of time, or they have concerns about the investment of money? What would you say to those people regarding how coaching might help them?
Good question. From my standpoint, financially, it was worth it. But I also had a referral. I think that helps to have
Mm-hmm.
somebody else say, or somebody that you know to say, hey, it was beneficial. I mean, I would refer you to anybody. I think it's helpful. From a personal standpoint, it's nice to have that support system. And what I mean is, a lot of times, if you're sitting at your desk or wherever you're working and you're thinking about this idea, a lot of people will say, yes, but this industry has this or this has that. And people, it's not that they don't want you to chase after your dreams or what it is that you want to do. It's just that I feel like people are trained to think about all the other things that can happen. People want stability. Um, and for me, once we started working together, for me, it was more about seizing the opportunity. I had an opportunity to do it, and I didn't want to miss out. And us working together helped that. It was constant support. It wasn't you saying, hey, go leave your job. You never told me to do that. I said it, that I was going to do it eventually. And then the timeline started to just, I mean, it felt right. So I would say follow your instincts. And if you have the opportunity, definitely go after it, and don't listen to naysayers or people that are going to not get you to your goals.
Good advice. Stay away from the naysayers. Go towards the people who believe in you. What other advice would you give to somebody who's at the stage you were at? They had this idea and they didn't really know, if it had legs, or what it could become. What advice would you give to those people?
I would say focus, try to put your energy towards it. It's very difficult to do it when you're caught up in the day to day. A lot of people have things to do. Everybody's caught up in work. Everybody has a very important job. And even at nighttime, you want to relax. I would say put more energy into it, put some more thoughts, write it down. Writing it down is very important. And it's also, I can't emphasize enough how much it is to have that support system. I mean, even my parents were not supportive at the time. A lot of people really weren't supportive. You were obviously. But I'm saying it was great to have that for me because even somebody like me who's very confident, it was a big move. I mean, it's a life-changing move for me. But now that I'm in this position, I'm so happy that I did, and I'm happy that we worked together because it made life for me a lot easier. I would not be where I am right now. So,
Excellent. Well, I'm very excited for what you and your partner are putting together and what comes next and the brand that you're building. And really looking forward to see how all your efforts and energy are going to pay off and really, I think, improve people's lives in a really good way. So I'm very excited
hey,
for you. And anything else you'd like to add before we close this call?
I just want to say thank you to you, Tara, for coming into my life, and that you referred to me because, as I said before, I probably would not be where I am now without your support and without your coaching. So, thank you.
My pleasure. It's my pleasure. All right, Chaz. Well, much love. You take good care, and we'll be in touch.
All right, sounds good, Tara.
Bye.
Bye.